Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here today at San Diego Police Department headquarters. I'm joined this morning by our police chief, Scott Wahl, as well as San Diego County District Attorney, Stephan. You'll be hearing from both of them in just a moment. Tomorrow, of course, begins a new year, and with it, the implementation of many new state laws. One of those that I'd like to draw the public's attention to is Assembly Bill 379. AB 379 enhances our city's ability to combat prostitution and human trafficking, to improve quality of life in affected neighborhoods, and to protect vulnerable women and children from exploitation. It reflects San Diego's ongoing commitment to public safety, accountability, and human dignity. I was proud to sponsor this legislation because San Diego needed stronger, smarter responses to a problem that has gone on for far too long, and one that recognizes the harm done to communities and the exploitation that is faced by victims. I also want to acknowledge something that I think is very important. Most San Diegans live in communities that are largely unaffected by this problem. But there are neighborhoods where the impacts are constant and deeply disruptive. Those residents deserve to be heard, and they deserve help. Addressing this issue means making sure that no community is asked to carry a burden that others never see. And AB 379 helps to change that. For years, our laws have focused overwhelmingly on those being sold rather than those driving the demand. And this bill reflects a simple reality. If we want to reduce exploitation, we must reduce demand. AB 379 strengthens accountability for people who buy sex, particularly when trafficking is involved. It gives law enforcement clearer authority to intervene earlier and more effectively, and it sends a clear message that profiting from exploitation has no place in San Diego. Just as important, it reinforces our approach to treating exploited individuals as victims, people who need safety, support, and a path to recovery, not punishment. As we head into 2026, AB 379 reflects the same commitment that has made San Diego one of the safest big cities in America. Using smart laws, strong partnerships, and clear accountability to protect our communities. I'm grateful to our partners in Sacramento, and I especially want to thank Assembly members Nick Schultz and Maggie Krell for their leadership in co-authoring this law. I'd also like to thank our DA, Stephan, for being a co-sponsor of this important legislation. Now, I want to turn it over to someone who will be on the front lines of implementing AB 379. Chief Scott Wahl will talk about what this law allows the San Diego Police Department to do and how officers will use these tools responsibly while helping victims access resources that they need to recover and to rebuild. Chief Wahl?
Okay, well, good morning, and thank you all for being here today, and Happy New Year. Tomorrow marks a step in the right direction for an age-old issue that we're going to bring a different approach to. I'm very proud and honored to stand here with our mayor and our district attorney, as well as my staff, that will be implementing this law effective immediately tomorrow. We have heard the complaints in the community, and it can be very frustrating when we don't have the laws in place or the tools that we need to have a positive impact. We see far too often young ladies, really juveniles, teenagers that are caught up in the sex trafficking trade. And our ability to intervene and get them out of a very tangled mess of a situation has been limited. And this bill is going to be instrumental at not only being able to take enforcement on the demand side, but also have the funding that's necessary for the supportive programs to help our youth, our young ladies that are involved in this trade, and really in just in a bad position in life. I'm proud of the work that our Vice Unit is doing, the work that's being done on our Human Trafficking Task Force, and it's a collaborative effort with the community that is helping us take this stand in supporting this, our elected officials, and of course our police officers that are going to be out there enforcing this law, like I said before, effective immediately. With that, I'm going to hand it over to our district attorney, Stephan, to elaborate a little bit further on how we're going to be prosecuting. So thank you.
a lawyer with a lot of paperwork. Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Mayor Gloria and Chief Wahl, for having this event. I think it's really important that the community understands that there's a new law on the books and that this law will be a game changer and will allow police and prosecutors to do our jobs of protecting the most vulnerable. Unfortunately, those tools have been missing. I want to give you an idea about why AB 379 was so desperately needed, and the numbers speak the story. So this year, San Diego Police Department is a big part, along with the DA's office, of our human trafficking task force that fights every day to recover victims and to help victims be safe and put away traffickers and address the demand. And this year, there have been 126 recoveries of human beings. 62 of these recoveries are minors. Just if you can pause on that and think about 62 minors, one 12-year-old, 4 13-year-olds, 6 14-year-olds, 6 15-year-olds, 17 16-year-olds, and 28 17-year-olds. This in comparison to last year, 2024, where there were 47 minors recovered. So we saw that the victims are getting younger and more of young kids are being used in sex trafficking. And why is that? It's because California had failed to pass the right laws to protect them. We're a country of laws. Laws speak our values. They speak what we believe about the value of our children. But until this year, you could still buy a child under 18 for sex and face a misdemeanor, not a felony. This law, and this is one of the primary effects, changes that. And on day one, it will be utilized in San Diego. Our prosecutors are ready. Our law enforcement is ready. So anyone out there who thinks that they're going to get a citation or a misdemeanor for buying a 17-year-old, a 16-year-old, a 15-year-old, think again. Get it through your skull that you will face a felony charge. Another thing that this law does is it allows us to act against the demand, against the lines of cars that go to pick up human beings that are half-dressed as if they are a slice of pizza or it's a hamburger stand. Human beings are not for sale. You can't buy human beings, that's illegal. But the problem was that police did not have the ability to stop them before they made the purchase and took that human being away to a hotel or a car or wherever to abuse them. But now, loitering for prostitution for the purpose of buying a human being for sex, whether an adult, doesn't matter, it's still enforceable under the law. It's a misdemeanor for an adult and a felony for a child. So that is a big difference, and it's going to allow us to act. There are other things that are very helpful in this law, and I'm so grateful that Mayor Gloria co-sponsored this with me and that we fought for this law. And that's that it's going to take that money from the offenders, the demand side, and put it in a fund that will help provide grants for those community providers to help victims come out of their trauma, to have shelter, to have the ability to live in dignity again. It also expands enforcement on hotels that cover up any human trafficking activity. And it makes the first fine be $10,000. And it expands the law that allows the posting of information. It adds to that the ability to post a number for victims to call, to contact a local nonprofit to help them, to assist them if they're not comfortable calling a national number. So these changes all working together are going to give us a chance to recover more children and more adults, because remember, the study is clear in San Diego that victims begin their journey in victimization at an average age of 15, 16. So even the adults that we encounter, they were children when they started, and they also deserve our protection. Thank you, and I'm sure if you have questions, we'll be able to take them later.
Thank you, Madam District Attorney and Chief Wahl. I think the DA did a great job of explaining AB 379. Loitering with the intent to solicit is once again a crime. Utilizing children for sex is a serious crime. And a fund to help those who are trapped in human trafficking get out of it has been created under this legislation. That's why we believe it's a game changer with regard to reducing the amount of solicitation that is going on across California, including here in San Diego. And I appreciate the DA's partnership in getting this law passed. And I'm definitely grateful to the San Diego Police Department for their willingness to act swiftly when it becomes effective at midnight tonight. So y'all are going to do a lot of news stories about New Year, new law. Minimum wage increases, changes to tenant rights. There's a host of things that are out there that are worthy of attention and of amplification. But I'd ask you to make sure that people understand that the days of open sex markets and the solicitation of minors in this state are coming to an end. We're going to take this extremely seriously and do our very, very best to make sure the quality of life in neighborhoods, and importantly, the victims who are currently being trafficked by pimps and being purchased by Johns is dramatically reduced. With that, I just want to just say a couple closing comments. As we welcome a new year, I want to thank San Diegans for the many ways that you've shown up for one another over this holiday season. I think all of us have had opportunities to go to toy distributions, food distributions, things of that nature, seeing absolutely the best of our city out there. And so I believe our city is at its best when we look out for our neighbors and take care of our communities. And so as you celebrate New Year's Eve, I ask every San Diegan to make your safety a top priority. All consumer fireworks are illegal throughout this county of San Diego, and they put people, pets, and property at serious risk, so please don't do that. If you're headed out to celebrate, I ask you to plan ahead. Arrange a sober ride home. Reminder that to take advantage of MTS's free rides on New Year's Eve. It's all across the county. I encourage you to take advantage of that or any of the other host of options. You do not need to drink and drive, and if you do, you will face serious consequences. I want you to stay aware if you're in crowded areas. Look out for your friends and family members. Small steps like planning ahead can help ensure that everyone starts the new year safely. And so thank you all so much for being here this morning. I wish every San Diegan a happy new year. Looking forward to bigger and better things in 2026. With that, you may have some questions, and I believe all of us are available if you have any. Yes, ma'am.
We know that National City is also another hotspot for prostitution. Do you think this is going to help also to tackle the community who has been reporting this problem during the past 20 years?
Yeah. I mean, I think the DA and the police chief may be able to speak to that better than I do, but I know speaking with Mayor Morrison, this is right at the dividing line, literally division, right, street, and folks traffic on either side of that. I'm here to say very clearly the city of San Diego will utilize all of the opportunities under AB 379 to make sure that our side of Division Street is looked after. I would expect and assume that National City will do the same. But yes, this is statewide legislation, so it impacts every city and county throughout the state of California. Anyone else on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically state law.
I mean, I can tell you that National City is also part of the Human Trafficking Task Force, works closely with Chief Wahl and our DA's office, and they're excited about this law and plan on moving forward with it. Everybody is looking forward to having more dignity and humanity in our community.
Others?
I was going to say, how long, rather, why so long for the solicitation of minors to be a felony. That's actually kind of surprising to hear that that wasn't considered, that was a misdemeanor. Yeah.
So I'm going to try to contain my anger about this, but it's taken me 10 years to get this done. And it's, when you look at this in light of the outrage that people claim over the Epstein case and the fact that it all surrounds that adults bought minors, that finally California is actually speaking about that through its laws, it's kind of unbelievable, but I'm thankful that we are here today.
Anyone else?
Chief, can you talk a little bit about what the enforcement will look like? Will you be adding patrols? What will that look like?
Yeah, well, first, the loitering part allows even our uniformed personnel to address that issue, where in the past, patrol officers or uniformed police officers really have zero impact on what's happening in the sex trade. We will be doing undercover operations, and the details of those I'm not necessarily going to go into, but we will be able to run undercover operations where we can focus not just on those that are trying to sell sex for money, but really focus on the demand side. And that is the different approach that this bill brings that I think is a significant change. And for those of you out there that are economics majors, you understand that there are two sides to this equation. And bringing a targeted effort at the demand side, the Johns that are out there loitering and lurking in too many of our neighborhoods to purchase sex and conduct these acts in their car, sometimes right in your front yard, right in front of your business, in the parking lot in front of your business, in an alley behind your house. My heart breaks every time I hear and see videos of community complaints where their families have to see this day in and day out. And we really have very limited ability to do anything about it. We've tried all kinds of methods that have been largely ineffective. We've put lighting out, we've put just high, presence of our police officers driving through, and it doesn't deter them because they knew there was no consequences. So now there is. I can't express my gratitude anymore for our mayor and our district attorney for taking a stand on this issue and giving us the tools that we need to move in the right direction. Get the women that are involved in this really vicious cycle of life for them. Get them the help that's necessary. Have the funding that the Johns are going to pay for to help with that, with those supportive courses and the network that'll be out there, but also to hold the Johns accountable. That's been something that's been missing for so long. And if it were up to me, we would be posting everybody that's driving through, their license plate, their cars, and we'd put it out for the public to judge. I'd probably get myself in trouble for that, but that would be effective because what's happening to these neighborhoods and the businesses that are impacted by it is unacceptable.
So when we had those stings that we've had previously where the buyers were targeted, those were all misdemeanors?
Correct.
And those are still misdemeanors for adults, but they are felonies now, if it is a person under 18. Does the buyer have to be aware that the person is under 18?
There has to be a reasonable belief, and it's based on the totality of circumstances. So normally, these are done through operations where it's, these are usually done through operations. And by the way, an attempt to buy a minor is also a felony. And so they're done through operations where there's information put out that makes it clear to the buyer that this is a minor. And so, we obviously will only prosecute cases that are clearly indicative of the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. We want to make sure we do this right, but usually the evidence is there. It's just that in the past, that still would have been a misdemeanor.
Follow-up question on the intent portion of the loitering, how do you prove intent?
Usually there's an expert testimony, there's videos that make it very clear that there's evidence that the person is driving through the area, doesn't live there, has no business there, stops and, is basically there to interact with somebody who's there. So there's a whole bunch of evidence that's put together to make these cases.
I would just add to that, you know it when you see it. And there are places in this city where it's evident that is happening. And I've spoken with the residents and the business owners, moms of children saying, why does my kid have to look at this every day? And the answer is they shouldn't have to. But before this bill's passage and the signing by the governor, there was, as the chiefs mentioned, very little that we could do about simply circling the block and propositioning people as they go by, including some of those very same kids that those moms are mad about. This will be a game changer for our ability to intervene in this situation earlier, not having to run the kinds of stings and detailed operations that really take a lot of time, and we've been doing that and arresting people, it's true. But that ability to circle that same block over and over again, acting like you're not doing what we all know that you're doing, that every resident on that block knows what they're doing, and the word gets out. The word gets out that that's where you go. I don't want any neighborhood in this city to have that kind of reputation. The people who live in those neighborhoods are good, decent, hardworking people who pay taxes and deserve to have the ability to walk down the sidewalk in their own neighborhood without having their children propositioned by some man in a car. This bill changes that. And the police department will take it very seriously. And I heard what the chief said a moment ago. Listen, if this doesn't clean it up, we'll do more. But bottom line is this: San Diego is not a place to traffic in children. And if you do it, you're going to have a police department that's going to arrest you, and you're going to have a DA that's going to prosecute you. Don't do it here. Anyone else? Very good. Thank you all so much for being here. Happy New Year. Be safe out there, everybody.